Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports for today's Currie Cup round 6, 5 things learned, basically some takeaways from the past weekend of rugby. It was really good to see 3 games actually back, even if the 2 of them were at the same time. Thankfully, it looks like it is all changing, as this weekend we will see a 2:15 kickoff between the Western Province and the Sharks. We will try and be live for that game, so make sure you tune in. But tonight we will be, well, this afternoon rather, we will be live for the Bulls versus Lions game, 4 o'clock South African Standard Time. We will be live with the watch along. Make sure you come and hang out and discuss everything rugby here on Forever Rugby. Before we look at our 5 things, please do subscribe to the channel. Smash a like on the video as well if you enjoy this type of thing. Let me know any recommendation or comments, anything down below. Anything you want to see, and we'll try our best to make sure we do it. So without any further ado, let's get through number 1. Right, so with the Currie Cup semi-finalists being confirmed as the Bulls, Western Province, Sharks and the Lions, the big winners are SA Rugby, who backed these 4 franchises, backed the Super Rugby franchises, and said that they were the top 4 franchises in the country and they deserved to go to the Pro 16 or Pro 14 or Rainbow Cup or whatever the competition is. They are going north. It has been confirmed as the Rainbow Cup for next year, which in theory is going to sort of precede what will hopefully become the Pro 16. Now the Cheetahs, obviously, we've spoken about this quite a lot. We're very disappointed with the fact that they were left out and that they were sort of pushed to the side. However, as a result of this, well, with the Currie Cup log, it has kind of proved, even if it was very, very close, that the 4 sides that SA Rugby did choose to back are the best sides. And this will be further vindicated if the Lions and Sharks win the clashes against Bulls and Western Province this weekend, because that means that they will sort of finish anything between sort of 9 and 10 points ahead of the Cheetahs, which is quite a big gap, you know. But also you see the Cheetahs will play this weekend. So yeah, I mean, I think at this stage it is quite clear the Cheetahs were very good, had some very good performances, but I think that the strength is in the Super and the franchise. I think if you look at the quality of player in the franchises as well, you know, you can argue the Cheetahs are maybe performing outside their sort of what they were expected to do, but you look at the quality of player, you look at the types of players they have, the unions, and I still do feel that the super franchises were the better sides, and were right to back them ahead of the Cheetahs. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things. The Cheetahs have always been pushed aside, but I think, you know, this sort of calls for reform within South African rugby, and the fact that we need to look at getting more franchises, better franchises, a better quality of rugby across the board. You know, we want to try and get, I mean, why not we try and work towards an 8, 9, 10 team Currie Cup? That's competitive. You know, why is the Pro 14 is competitive in France? You've got the Premiership in the UK. Why, in a country where we produce so many youngsters, we have so many professional rugby players, do we have 4 good sides and maybe 5 good sides and then 2 that can't really compete? We should be having really good franchises, and that comes down with privatizing unions and all that. We're going to do a video, in fact, about how we sort of want to look at changing SA Rugby very, very soon. It must be very frustrating being a Sharks supporter at the moment, because one weekend you're beating the Bulls, the next weekend you're losing to the Lions, and then being outplayed by the Cheetahs. So it's been a bit of a weird time for the Sharks, because they've had some very good moments in the Currie Cup so far. They've also had some very poor moments. And this weekend was sort of back to the good, as they ran in a lot of tries, 28 points in 20 minutes against the Greek, with some big performances from the likes of Siko Mozenoche, you know, some of the big players who really just stand out rather. But it's just too inconsistent. You know, you can't put performances like this and the Bulls and then follow up with performances like against the Lions, like against the Cheetahs. If you want to win trophies, you need that consistency. And they look like they had the consistency before lockdown, but since then it's been a very, very inconsistent side, and very frustrating as Sharks fans to watch a side which one weekend looks like they're going to score, you know, almost every move, and the next weekend look like they can't catch a ball or tackle or anything like that. So the big thing is they thrive when the games are loose. So they need to try and work out how to try and avoid getting into sort of a very tight test match like affair, because they just don't have the bulk, they don't have the physicality to match up the likes of a Western Province pack or a Bulls pack and something like that. So while it's bad news for the Sharks, not necessarily bad news for the Sharks, but it is really good news for the Western Province, in that their victory over the Cheetahs this weekend showed a very, very important quality. they can win ugly. Even if they're not dominating the game, even if they're not putting games to bed, a clutch situation, and Tim Sewell kicked beautifully to win the game. And that's very important because the Western Province, and I've been quite critical of the Western Province because I think the Western Province fans will agree with me, even when the results have been good, performances have still been subpar. And I still think that the Western Province should be competing at the highest level, should be really challenging as the top team in the country. And what is amazing is that points-wise, they are 35 points. They're tied with the Bulls, but I still think that they haven't hit the threshold that they have the capacity to, that they have the players to do it. They've got so many good players, such a big squad, so much depth, but they just haven't quite hit, the heights yet. And I think that right now it'll be fine, but they need to win trophies. They sort of slipped up with Super Rugby Unlocked, and now's a big opportunity for them in the Currie Cup to go and win a trophy and just try and take the momentum in the Rainbow Cup. But as much as they are getting good results, I just feel there's still a lot more to come from the Western Province. But the fact that they can win, even when they don't play well, is a very, very important thing to have if you want to start building a trophy-winning side. Watching the France State Masterclass this weekend, it is so obvious that as much as I understand he's got ties to the Free State, he's got a farm there, he came through the Free State system, we cannot afford for France State to be lost within the system. And that is currently going to happen. The Cheetahs have this weekend's Currie Cup, and after that they're in limbo. Apparently they've sort of sorted out plans, could be going overseas to European competition, could be going to Russia, could be going to the USA. Russia does seem to be the sort of preferred choice of destination. But what is important is that whatever competition they are playing, if it is not a high enough standard, we need to find a way of getting France staying to one of the super franchises in European rugby. I mean, Rassie Erasmus has even said he doesn't particularly rate the Japanese league, and he says that he wants the Springboks to be playing the best leagues possible so that they are in the best shape, their best mental space, they are playing really tough rugby, so they are prepared to come on, put on the Springbok jersey and be at their best. And France State, for me, is probably just destined to the Bulls. Inside centre is not too far from the Free State, so we can go to the farm here and there. And the Bulls could really use an inside centre. Cornel Hendricks has been doing a really good job, but I just think that France State has still got so much to offer South Africa. It's pretty much the Lions tour. Whether it goes ahead this year or whether it's going to be postponed to next year, or whatever the situation is, until the end of the Lions tour, France State needs to be in the system because he does provide a very big role. He's got a lot of experience, he's nice and versatile, and he's very important to the Springbok effort. And as a result, we need him playing in top leagues and for a really good side. And I think that that's why he probably needs to look to leave the Cheetahs. As much as it was really nice to have him come back to the Cheetahs, going forward, you need him playing in a really strong league, keeping it up to his best and keeping within the Springbok system. Now, this is an interesting one because Jimmy Stonehouse has been at the Pumas now. This is now his second stint, and he's about 2 years actually now into his second stint at the Pumas, where he continuously tries to get them playing above what the expectation is. And whilst the results might not reflect it on the table there, you'll see it in their performances. They have played some really good games. And I think if you look at Jimmy Stonehouse's coaching career, you've got to feel he's due a shot with a super franchise, I mean, if you look at his career, started with the Pumas Craven Week side, went to Hoërskool Ermelo, Pumas Craven Week's team, Waterkloof, Russian Under-19, Russia Sevens, Blue Bulls Craven Week, Pretoria Harlequins, Blue Bulls Craven Week again, Pumas, the Royal 15, South African Barbarians, and South Africa Presence 15. He then did a spell in Japan before coming back to the Pumas. And wherever he goes, he just manages to find the best out of sides. And you've got to think, at 56 years old, with so much experience, that if a John Dobson goes, if a Sean Everett goes, if everyone from Rowan goes, that Jimmy Stonehouse has to be due a shot with a proper side to see exactly what he can do. Because I mean, most of the time he's had some very big stints, and he's always been backed. The fact that he's been given a South African president side, and that he was given a couple of touring sides, means that he's highly rated, but he still hasn't had a chance to go within one of South Africa's premier unions, and that includes the likes of the Cheetahs, for example. So one imagines that, as I said, if there are any sort of changes in this coach structure, in any coaching structure across the country in the coming months, you've got to look at Jimmy Stonehouse as a candidate. And I just think that he's proven himself so many different times, so many ways, that I would love to see what he can do with resources, with a strong squad, with the ability to go and bring in players he wants, and see if he can produce the goods at the highest level, because he has been one of those coaches that's been in the South African system for so long, but hasn't really had that chance to really sort of try and take it up to the next level. So those are the things that we picked up over the weekend. Please jump in the comments, let me know if there's anything that you picked out, anything that you want to comment on. Please do smash like on the video if you like this sort of content. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. My name is Steven. Please come join us on the watch along later, and I'll chat to you very soon.